All right, everyone. I'm going to be walking through this use case that was a major pain point for me. Um, Essentially, the biggest growth lever for us recently has been doing webinars. These are weekly educational live podcasts. We have one every week with a different go-to-market leader. You can find it at events.gotcatalyst.com. Anyway, this isn't a promotion. Um, After filming each webinar, I found myself doing the same tedious steps every single time. So what I did was built a automated workflow leveraging AI to help me create all the derivative assets that I need to create every time we wrap a webinar. So finding the trigger for this workflow is actually probably the more challenging thing. Definitely tried a few different ones and ended up landing on just having video being uploaded to my YouTube channel being the initial trigger. So that implies that I finished the webinar, I have the full hour-long session already cut and edited, then I upload that directly to YouTube. So that's when this workflow starts. Essentially, what it does is it takes the transcript from that video and it routes it to a few different workflows. So every webinar we do has a recap page that highlights key topics covered, who the speaker is, quotes, things you'll learn, information about the session, as well as the full YouTube video. So that is this first workflow. Then I like creating playbooks or guides from each of the session. The whole point of the session is to go through something specific so we can get a actionable playbook for our team or for the people we work with. Then LinkedIn. I post religiously on LinkedIn, and I want to make sure that I have posts talking about what we discussed in the session, but I also want to give them to my guest. So I actually have this split workflow where it creates posts for me. It actually creates ideas. I still do all my own writing. And then I also want to create first drafts for the guests. So create 2 posts and then email it to them being like, hey, thanks for coming on the session. Here is some content for you to use. Newsletter, always want to highlight what we discussed. We use Beehive as our newsletter program. And so we store information in HubSpot and then send that over to Beehive. And then we want to cut that larger video file into short form clips. And so we have the workflow that takes those, identify where they should be clipped, create file structure for my editors, send them a Slack message. Then I'm waiting for them to, have like a trigger where they put the information back in Google Drive. And then we get that scheduled and posted for each platform. So that's an overview of what this looks like. In practice, I built this in Relay. If you go to Relay.app via Will, I get a little kickback if you end up using the platform. Jacob, the founder, is a great guy. So definitely recommend giving him a shout if you end up using the platform. The tool is so fantastic. Not sponsored, not affiliated. I mean, we're friends, but really no affiliate other than I'm just a big advocate for this tool because of, honestly, out of all of the no code or low code automation tools, this one is so intuitive to me. And so you can see, we have this little fun workflow, but let's just look at this in a different file structure. I essentially separated it between pre-production and post-production. That workflow I showed you was just post-production, but I can give you a little insight into what I do pre-production. This webinar creator, essentially when I create a webinar in my Notion setup, I want to go and find and actually do some research. So I built this webinar creator researcher and outline. And so I'm actually taking in the title that I put in. I can show you what this looks like. Yeah, I should be able to show this. So essentially when I just type in a title idea and description, when I hit optimize, what it does is it goes and it takes what I put in, because it's just like me dropping in my ideas, and it goes and finds interesting topics around that, helps me write a better title, helps me write a better description, and does research on the guests that I'm putting in. So you can see I have my webinar guest CRM. It goes and finds their LinkedIn profile, so I can do some research on them. You can see the research of the main topics, the things to outline for the show, and then format it into show notes. Then it goes and finds the guest LinkedIn profile and does research on them, see what they've talked about recently. And you can see, like, so simple. I'm just saying, write a webinar outline following best practices of the template. Key here is I have best practices written out. So this is information that I've compiled of how I want to run my webinars. Definitely inspired from people that I admire in the market, and we have that as a webinar template. So it's following that template. Best way to use AI: give it a reference or a template, tell it to follow it. So that's all pre-production. Then we create the event. Webinar series is updated. And then I'm going to add another node here, actually. So I want to send an email to the guest, being like, here's the run of show. Something casual. I'd be like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Give you some ideas. I need to finish this later. But all right, the post-production, which is what this video is supposed to be about. Sorry for my tangent. Really simple. Just a few steps. This is the bulk of the work. So you can see it's looking every 15 minutes for when a new video is posted to the YouTube channel. This is just connected to my YouTube channel. Here are my past episodes. It's extracting the transcript. And then the first thing I'm doing is just saying, all right, go find my webinar page and go feed in the information about the YouTube video now that it's published. So I have this column for the YouTube link. You can see for ones I have it posted, it's here. For the ones that haven't been posted, it's not there. But I want to capture that, at least the video URL. The video ID is just good to have as well too, especially when we start having more and more of these. Then it's saying, all right, go find this page again, which matches that URL. So this is how it's connecting and saying, all right, this video that was uploaded, now we want to go find that same page because we're going to edit that in the future. First step is writing a newsletter. Very simple prompt. This is using GPT-4, saying write a recap newsletter, what was discussed in the session, key takeaways, and then just promote the upcoming webinar, which all of my upcoming webinars are on events.catalyst. Format it to be high converting, rich text, make it medium length, packed with value. Very simple prompt. You don't need to over engineer your prompts on AI. It can be really simple. And then you can see it has access. You can connect data from previous steps, has access to the transcript, who the guest was, and then that overall Notion page. Then on the events page, we have this recap detailed information. So I want to extract that. So take the transcript, make it for the landing page. This is what we want to include. Again, output, rich text, very straightforward. This create playbook is a little bit more intricate. Relay has these like repeatable sequences, so you can add them. You can build it once and then add it to multiple workflows. This is essentially looking through the entire transcript and finding what would be most valuable for a long-form gated asset. Again, I'm giving it some ideas as to what it should be looking for. Then we're doing a Grok step where it's finding research to support it. So the core idea is coming from the transcript, but there's always data or other market leaders that we can use to enrich and make more valuable. So it's finding it on Grok, and then I'm compiling it all together in with the Gemini step. I'm liking Gemini with the for writing, but everyone has their own preferences. Cool. Then we're just adding that back to the Notion page. So you can see I have a newsletter field. We're dropping in the newsletter from step 5, recap info from step 6. And then step 7 is going to a separate database. So I have a Playbooks database, and we're dropping in that full final asset, linking it to myself as the client. And that's it. So essentially, as soon as I upload that YouTube video, all of those assets are created for me. Let me see if I can just show you quickly. Playbook. So here is that coding playbook. Very cool. So the other one that's not included in this is finding those social clips to send to my editor. I don't trust AI video editing yet. So essentially what we do is we get the transcript. This one took me a while. I gave it a lot of insight into like what it looks for like a hookable moment on short form. I did this by scraping other people's videos I like, seeing what patterns they use for their short form clips, and then giving it hooks or stats that it should look for in that transcript. Then for organizational sake, we create a new folder, which is the title of the YouTube video and the date. We share that folder with our editor. I get an approval to just make sure that those clips are actually what I want. So this sends directly to my Slack. I get a button. I just say, yeah, these look good. And then it goes to our database where our video editor works out of, and he can see the new request. He gets tagged. And then it also sends him a Slack message being like, hey, look, we added a new item on this page for you to go and do it. And so really simple. Not a whole lot of crazy AI steps. It's just one process that is really tedious to do each time. I guess the one I didn't get to talk through was this LinkedIn one. Let's see if I have that. Yeah. So, okay. So, oh, this is cool. I built this. I didn't even put this on the diagram, but doing the same thing. And what we're doing is we're actually creating a custom graphic for the guest that was on it with a quote that they said. So we can look at some past runs. I did a session with Zaid last week. So this is pretty cool. I'll show you a few of these just to show you what it looks like. So essentially I made this template of, you can see you can use these placeholders, episode title here, photo, all those, whatever. I just created this template, and it's taking the script, it's looking through, and it's finding quotes, key quotes from them in the interview. We have to do a little bit of search to find their LinkedIn profile, although I'm realizing now I actually could just add a step to go find them in the CRM database, which already has their LinkedIn profile. But whatever, this is a cool little hack. Essentially what I'm doing is we're identifying who the speaker was and what company they work at based on the transcript, because they obviously say that in the webinar. We're then performing a Google search for them. And so like if you type in Will Leatherman LinkedIn on Google, I'm going to come up first. I'm at least, that person's probably going to be in the top, however many results. So then it's looking through those results and it's saying, all right, go find the actual like LinkedIn profile format. So this is a great way to find people's LinkedIn. Then it's saying go look at their last posts or look up their profile info, extract their information like their title. And then really key, it's getting my LinkedIn profile photo. So whatever your profile URL photo is, it'll do that. And then it's going and it's filling in that blank quote graphic that I created. This is the first time I've done this. This is so cool. So many ideas that I can do with this. But just running through this, I'll show you what this looks like. Actually, let's just run a test on that. Test this step, start a test. Let's run it with, let's see if we can find a better quote from Zaid. So while it's running through this, it found and auto-populated this graphic, name, app, his title. It's just something cool they can like share on LinkedIn or something. This isn't the most compelling quote, but it's the right idea. It is way quicker than making this custom every time. I don't know why, but figuring out how to solve this image component was massive for me. That is so valuable. There you go. Okay, so it went and it tried to find, oh, this is a good one because Zaid, pretty unique name. The transcript of the call, if we look at this whole thing, is you can see it's actually calling him Zaid, Z-A-D-E, which is not the right spelling. So what we have to do is figure out the correct spelling of it. And that happens in that ChatGPT-5 prompt. I've added that in to cross-reference from my CRM to find similar names or names that might be misspelled. And so I actually was able to do that before we do that search, although I stand corrected. So what happens when you do this real time. Let's see if it corrects itself through this process. Zaid founder, let's see, output, search results. Okay, so it found it in the first one. Cool, we're just relying on Google to solve that for us. There's his LinkedIn URL, found the profile, found information on him. There we go, we got this great title. The thing that I didn't want is like most people have a keyword stuffed title on LinkedIn, their headline, which is totally fine. It's like great if you're trying to be discovered on LinkedIn. But what I didn't want is that to show up in the whole graphic. So I have that step saying, just look for the real title, like are they a founder, a co-founder, head of marketing, whatever that is. That extracts it here, or it's just asking it to simplify. Then get the profile URL, and then here we go. Let's see what this. Love this. Oh, I didn't fill in the episode title. That's cool. That's sweet. So then this is just supposed to fill in the episode title, which I can just add here. Episode title, and this is going to connect with the title of the YouTube video. All right, I kind of want to run that again, but it might take a second. I'm gonna quick hack this because this is essentially what it would display as. So kind of cool. Anyway, really great way to just take one webinar, make it a whole bunch of assets. This video went way longer than I expected. If you have any questions or want to know how I built some of these things on Relay or how I use it to help me with growth, please feel free to reach out. I have a whole bunch of like pre-production stuff too that might be valuable to some, especially like webinar registration. You can see I'm like doing a lot of enrichment, adding it to all of my sources. And so yeah, happy to talk through any of these workflows. Anything go-to-market content related, feel free to hit me up. See you guys.